Clive, you will be presenting this. I said the meeting is being recorded as we speak anyway. So yeah, item 6 then. Mabwysiadu cyfansoddiad ar gyfer cydbwyllgor corfforaethol canolbarth Cymru. Felly, Clive, fel swyddog monitro I adrodd ar hwn, please.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the CJC will see from the report, which starts on page 15 of the bundle, that at its inaugural meeting on the 25th of January, the CJC was established and approved some standing orders, which were to be replaced by a formal constitution in due course. The purpose of this report is to bring that constitution for consideration and approval of the CJC. The draft constitution for consideration starts at pages 121 and goes to 128. Members, can I apologize for the length of the constitution, but you'll know from your own constitutions that these are documents which are by their very nature lengthy and complex. And in drafting this constitution, can I please have the opportunity to thank several officers from Powys who assisted me in that, namely Wyn Richards and Debbie Jones. Chair, as I said, the constitution is set out on draft constitution is set on pages 21 to 128. It's based upon a new model constitution which was drafted on behalf of the WLGA by a firm of outside solicitors called Brown Jacobson, and they concluded their redraft. There was a previous draft in about 2016. There's been a redraft in December of 2021, and this draft constitution is based upon that redraft. As indicated in the report, members, the constitution will be continually monitored and reviewed by officers to make sure that it continues to be fit for purpose. And the essence of this constitution, as with all constitutions, is to provide a firm and good framework for good governance, to enable decisions to be taken effectively, and to create a powerful and effective means of holding decision makers to public account. In doing so, we must also make sure that nobody scrutinizes a decision for which they were directly involved. And we also have to ensure that the persons responsible for the decisions are clearly identifiable with the reasons for the decisions being explained. Chair, that's the basis of it. You'll see in the report that the draft constitution is set out in 13 sections, started on pages 121. It's not the purpose this morning, Chair, though I will if you want me to. It will take a long time to go through each one of these sections, but there's an introduction, there's an interpretation section, there's a getting information, there's a procedural rules section, there's a section on subcommittees, officers, scheme of delegation, access to information, a code of conduct, budget and financial procurement, contract and legal matters, contract procedure rules, and indemnities for members. Chair, all I would like to mention at this moment in time is that if it is approved today, in approving this, you will be setting up some new subcommittees, which are set out in section 5 of the Constitution. As previously, the CJC has already set up 3 subcommittees for economic well-being, for regional transport planning, and for SDB planning. If you approve the Constitution today, you will also be setting up some new subcommittees, namely the Governance and Audit Subcommittee. The terms of reference you'll find on pages 50 to 52. There you'll be approving the setting up of an Overview and Scrutiny Committee. The terms of reference are being set out on pages 53 to 57, and a Standards Subcommittee, which the terms of reference are set out on pages 51 to 61. Chair, I just mentioned the fact that the membership of these new subcommittees, if approved today, we will not be able to proceed in the next paper to nominate those. But for the purposes of this meeting, I can say the Governance and Audit Committee consists of 1 lay member plus 2 councillors from each of Powys and Ceredigion, together with a nomination from the National Parks. The Overview and Scrutiny Committee consists of 5 members from each of Ceredigion and Powys, which is based on a politically balanced within each of the councils. And when discussing the SDP matter, then there's an additional member from the National Parks. The Standards Committee chair consists of 2 lay members plus 1 councillor from each of Powys and Ceredigion, plus 1 member from the National Parks. That sort of sets out the membership of those new subcommittees, chair, and I hope that sort of gives you a flavour for what is contained. I'm sort of happy to take questions with regard to any part of the constitution. Chair, but I'm happy to do that now, and I'll come back and deal with paragraphs 10 of the report, if that's okay with you.
Ie, diolch yn fawr o'n Clive. Ie, ni ddech chi sôn o ran adolygu'r cyfansoddiad. Byddwn ni'n gallu adolygu'r cyfansoddiad fel bo angen ni os na amserau briodol pryd bydde'r cyfansoddiad yn cael ei adolygu.
Chair, the Constitution can be reviewed at any stage, and if members of the CJC think that we need to amend, what they should do is approach me as the monitoring officer, and we can discuss what amendments we made, and what we will need then to do is to formally draft an amendment and come back and have it presented to a future CJC meeting for formal variation.
Ie, diolch yn fawr, Clive. Mae cwestiwn na fi gyda'r cynghorydd Gareth Radcliffe na de. Gareth.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Clive. Yeah, overall, really happy. Just for some clarity around the lay member, apologies if I've missed that because I haven't read it in depth. Will the lay member be appointed by this committee to that position?
So,
and also,
sorry, Councillor, on which committee are we talking about?
All the committees you talk about lay members.
We are each, so insofar as Standards Committee is concerned, each of the councils already has lay members.
Yep.
And so the nomination will come from the lay members of those respective authorities.
And that relates to also any appointments from national parks. Is there any restrictions on the members that we can or cannot appoint? Because obviously we've got Welsh Government members as well as local authority members.
There is an interesting query, Councillor, with regard to the Governance and Audit Committee, where, as I understand it, and presumably Welsh Government haven't really thought this through, the National Parks don't have lay members.
We do on our Standards Committee.
You do on your Standards Committee, but not for Governance and Audit purposes.
No, not on our governance audit. So that's where we just need some clarity around that for our appointments. So
what we are proposing, and I accept that this is a little bit of a fudge, but in terms of membership of that governance and audit committee, it is proposed, and I think accepted on behalf of the parks, that member should come from the Welsh Government representative rather than from a county councillor. Okay, just to put on record at the moment, we only have 2 active Welsh Government members. 4 members we're appointing 3 and 1 is not operational at the moment. So we'll be appointing. So that is putting a lot of pressure on our 2 Welsh Government members who are already on the other 2 CJCs. But just to put it as a marker, so you know, if we struggle to get that appointment, I'd rather be upfront and let you know where we are at the moment. In a couple of months, 6-7 months, when we're fully up to steam, up to power with our other Welsh Government members, it won't be a problem, but I'd rather put the cards on the table so you know where we are at the moment. Thank you, Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, diolch Gareth, diolch Gareth. Fi ni ddim yn mynd i ddewis, os ni'n cytuno gyda'r cyfansoddiad, ni ddim yn mynd i ddewis aelodau i'r is-pwyllgor na nawr beth bynnag, felly rhywbeth i cadw mewn sylw o ran beth wedodd chi Gareth. Diolch o ran chi. Ie, felly, yn sgil hynny, chi'n hapus bod ni'n mabwysiadu'r cyfansoddiad? Clive, do you want to come back in before we go ahead?
Chair, before we come to that, can I come to paragraph 10 of the report?
Yeah.
Chair, you'll see from paragraph 10 of the report that this CJC, together with all other CJCs in Wales, are a little concerned at this moment in time with a VAT issue, which is being currently discussed with HM Treasury. In essence, CJCs are at this moment in time are unable to recover the VAT incurred on non-business activities. Local authorities do have the ability to recover that, but CJCs currently do not. So the Welsh Government, together with all local authorities, have been lobbying HM Treasury, and it has been agreed that CJCs will be brought into the same position as local authorities, but that will require an order in council to do so, and that order it will come in sometime during the autumn, but it will not be retrospective in effect. So in order to protect the CJC from losing out on any VAT, it's been suggested and proposed in recommendation 4, which you'll see on page 151, that the implementation of the creation of the Economic Wellbeing Regional Economic Subcommittee be delayed to a future meeting of the CJC. So it has already been established, but it's the implementation we're suggesting is being delayed to enable that HM Treasury to put in place an order to allow the 4 Welsh corporate joint committees to be admitted into Section 33 refund scheme. And also there are some corporation tax issues which need to be clarified with HM Treasury. So, Chair, that's the reason why you'll see recommendation 4 on page 15 of the report. Chair, if I go back to the recommendations, the first recommendation is therefore for the adoption of the constitution of the draft constitution of the Mid Wales Corporate Joint Committee as set out in Appendix 1. Chair, we secondly asking the CJC to delegate powers to me as the monitoring officer to make minor editorial changes prior to the publication. Chair, you will have seen that there is no Welsh version of the draft constitution available at this moment in time. The CJC is not required to provide a Welsh translation at this moment in time because we're not subject to Welsh or language standards, but of course we wish to do so as quickly as you can. And you'll see that recommendation 3 is a requirement from the CJC to get that translation done as quickly as possible and to be published on the CJC's website. And fourthly, Chair, there's the matter of delaying the implementation of the Economic Wellbeing Regional Economic Development Subcommittee to allow the VAT issues to be dealt with. So that's the 4 recommendations, Chair. I would ask for a proposer and a seconder and a vote.
Ie, diolch yn fawr, Clive. Ie, o ran eitem 3 bendant byddwn ni moyn hyrwyddo hwnnw gysylltau. Fi'n bersonol fel arweinydd Cyngor Sir Ceredigion, mae hwnna'n flaenoriaeth gyda ni fel cynghorwyr Ceredigion beth bynnag. Ie, ond bod ni'n cadw golwg ar hwnnw. Cynghorydd James Gibson-Watt, chi'n cynnig a'i proposing, James? Ie. Ie, Cynghorydd James Gibson-Watt yn cynnig bod ni'n mabwysiadu'r cymysyddiad. Gareth, you happy to second? Ie, wedi eilio, felly i bleidlais. Felly pob yn gytun gyda hynny o ran y 4 argymhelliad hefyd. Ie, hapus, Clive, diolch o rawn i chi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Iawn. Yn ymlaen o'n eitem 7, sef i penodi lodi ar yr is-bwyllgorau'r cyd-bwyllgor corfforaethol. Mae fe ar tudalen 129. 129. Pob un wedi weld yr enwau newydd? Hapus i bod ni'n derbyn yr enwau ar y is-bwyllgorau? Do you want to mention anything about these nominations, Clive?
Yeah, I missed what you said because of the translation didn't quite block you out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the appointment of co-optees to the subcommittees. Do you want to mention anything on these at all?
Chair, all I can say is that in adopting the constitution, which you just did on the last member, on the last vote, you have appointed 3 new subcommittees. But insofar as the existing one, the original ones are concerned, these are the Regional Transport Subcommittee. For details of the members at home, Councillor Jackie Charlton and Councillors David Selby have been appointed from Powys. Councillors Keith Henson and Councillor Clive Davis have been appointed for Ceredigion, and both councils have one vacancy to also appoint to. In terms of the Economic Wellbeing and Economic Development Subcommittee, we have 5 nominations from each of the 2 authorities, namely Councillor James Gibson-Watt, David Selby, Matthew Dorrance, Amanda Jenner and Aled Davis from Powys, and Councillor Brian Davis, Clive Davis, Keith Henson, Catherine Davis and Matthew Vaux from Ceredigion. Insofar as the Strategic Development Planning Subcommittee is concerned, there are entitled to 3 nominations from each local authority, but at this moment in time, there have been nominations from both Jake Berman from Powys and Councillor Clive Davis from Ceredigion. Both those authorities have 2 vacancies which they need to fill. And insofar as the National Park is concerned, Councillor Gareth Radcliffe has been appointed for National Park and has 1 other vacancy to fill. Insofar as the new 3 subcommittees is concerned, which is the Governance Audit Subcommittee, the Overview Scrutiny Subcommittee and the Standards Subcommittee, Chair, you've only just created those in the last 10 minutes. So we have not been able to get nominations to fulfill those. And therefore, Chair, you will see from bullet point 2 of the report, which you find on page 29, the recommendation is for you to give delegated authority to me as a monitoring officer to accept nominations from the various parties. Chair, and also to look towards the future, it's obviously at some stages there may be vacancies which develop within each of these subcommittees, and again, to allow those subcommittees to perform, it's recommended that the CJC delegate me and authorize me as monitoring officer to accept nominations to fill any vacancies that arise, and that's the 3rd bullet point on the recommendation section of the report, which again you'll find on page 129. Chair, I'd ask for a proposer and a second and a vote.
Ie, o ran unrhyw enwau newydd sy'n dod mlaen i'r is-pwyllgorau newydd un, fi'n credu bydde fe'n arfer dda bod ni'n rhannu nhw gyda James a Gareth a finne cyn pasio nhw mlaen i chi, Clive. Byddech chi'n hapus gyda'r un i James a Gareth?
Absolutely, Chair, and you'll see from the recommendation that any nominations which are received should be formally notified to the CJC at its next meeting, so that the CJC is aware. To avoid any difficulties, Chair, and to avoid any delays in appointment, I would still recommend that you allow me to accept those nominations, although I will of course consult with you beforehand. But I could still appoint.
Yeah, dwi'n hapus na. James, Gareth, are you happy with that? So, James, are you happy to propose Gareth I eilio? Yeah, felly pob un i gytun fyna. Iawn, Clive? Diolch yn iawn.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Iawn, felly awn ni mlaen am eitem 8, sef adroddiad cyllideb y CJC 2021-2022. A na I croesawu Justin Davies. Bore da, Justin.
Bore da, good morning, Chair. I'll take through this report. It's possibly the shortest report I've ever written, actually. A little bit of a formality and sort of technicality. The CJC in the meeting on the 25th of January did approve a budget for 21-22. It was approved a nil budget because, you know, was expected to be very, very minimal spend, and that could be absorbed by the 2 constituent councils. So this is just basically confirming the outturn position for 2021-22 as being a nil spend. I've discussed with Audit Wales what are the requirements for this at year end, just to make sure we follow the appropriate procedures. So they're confirming that we don't need an annual return. They are in the process of drafting a short template, literally 1 or 2 lines, which will require a sign off by the chair of the CJC and also the Section 151 officer. So that should come through very shortly. But obviously, as you can see there, it's no transactions, no expenditure or income, pretty straightforward. And obviously, there's a recommendation there just to approve to note the outturn position, and also that the Audit Wales template will be completed in due course.
Yeah, diolch Justin, it was short and sweet ni. Felly dwi'n hapus i gynnig bod ni'n nodi yr adroddiad, Gareth a James yn cytuno. Felly diolch yn fawr i ti Justin. Felly awn ni ymlaen i'r eitem olaf ni, sef unrhyw eises arall, any other business. Licen ni o ran yr elfen VAT a'r treth. Dwi ddim yn siŵr os y Clive penidal gyda ni. Os oes yna diweddariad ar hwnnw, licen ni bod Gareth a James a fyny'n cael ei wneud ymwybodol o hynny.
Chair, as indicated earlier, there has been agreement with HM Treasury that CJCs are brought within the ambit of Section 33. But as I said, that will take an order in order to achieve that. And HM Treasury have indicated that that will come in the autumn. We have no firm date for it, or only a promise that it will happen, and of course we will keep members informed of that as and when it happens. But I can't give you a date at this moment in time, I'm afraid.
No, it's just to keep us in the loop anyway, Clive. Felly, any other business at all? James, Gareth, hapus? Felly, os nag oes dim byd arall gyda rhywun wneud, na i diolch o rawn i chi am eich personoldeb bore yma, a na i cael cyfarfod o'n swyddogol. Thanks so much for your presence, and I'll close the meeting officially. Felly, diolch o rawn i chi gyd.
Excellent.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, everybody.
Chair. Thank you.
Hwyl.
Well.